Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Kentish Town in North London to Marylebone in Central London. This ride takes just 20 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes over half an hour, so cycling is a fantastic way to make this trip. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute too, then you can find a link in the description below the video. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on Kentish Town Road and we're turning around to head straight down Angler's Lane. For a little street, it has a lot of history. That building on the left was once Europe's largest false teeth factory, and the street also follows the course of the underground river Fleet. The name Angler's Lane is a reference to when the banks were used for fishing. There is a left turn only sign at the end of the street, which is a bit strange as there's a new cycle lane going right, which we've just joined. I assume that it was meant to say accept cycles underneath it. If not, maybe it's something for the council to have a look at. The cycle lanes along here are really good in my view. They're a mix of protective curbs, wands and floating parking, keeping us separated from motor traffic. They also feature bus stop bypasses, which are built so that you don't have to overtake stopped buses when they're waiting at the stop like here. But do remember to give way at the zebra crossings on the bus stops to any bus passengers who are entering or leaving the stops or rushing for the bus. The cycle traffic lights at this junction were hidden behind that yellow sign today, but when you can see them, they actually go green slightly early before other traffic to give you a bit of a head start and get ahead of other vehicles at that junction, which is nice. Croxland Road here notably benefits from a school street that was recently installed by Camden Council. It's always been quiet at most times, but could previously see some traffic at school drop-off and pick-up times, but now the school street prohibits driving on it at those times, so you should always expect it to be a good ride. If you have trouble getting the bike traffic lights at that junction to work, by the way, then try sitting slightly forward of the give way line. The lights are triggered by a motion detector camera, which I think is slightly misaligned. The small yellow brick building on our left here before the bridge is now a yoga studio, but it was actually previously the ticket office for Primrose Hill railway station. Yes, Primrose Hill did used to have a railway station and it closed surprisingly recently in 1992. It's difficult to say what line it would be on today, as it was on a branch of what is now the Mildmay line of the Overground and had services from Watford Junction to Liverpool Street, which is a service pattern that doesn't really exist anymore today. Not really fitting in, plus low ridership, and the fact it's 1 minute walk from Chalk Farm Tube are probably why it closed, though it's interesting to imagine how different this part of the tube map would look today had it stayed open. For the next part of our route, we're going to be heading onto the Regent's Canal, the entrance for which is down this narrow little ramp next to a restaurant. I don't really like routing people down the canal mostly, but I think for this video it's definitely the best option. If you've used the Regent's Canal around Hackney, Camden or King's Cross, you probably avoid it on a bike as it's really busy, and I basically never send people that way either. But I think that this western section from Primrose Hill to Lisson Grove is a different story, and apart from that first bit that we went through joining it, which as you could see required some careful and slow riding, once you get around the corner it's actually not too bad. I used to commute this way to West London when I lived in Kentish Town, and I found it pretty comfortable, especially on beautiful days like this, albeit a little bit dark in winter evenings. Once you get around this next corner, it's pretty good and there are far fewer people walking on it than on the eastern section. My main technical advice here is to watch your wheels as the surface is uneven and there are things like capstans and changes in surface which could trip you up quite literally if you're not paying attention. Obviously, do remember though that the path is shared with pedestrians, so just be careful and don't ride too quickly. Make sure you give everyone plenty of space as you ride down here. There are also quite a few sights to see along the canal. Those nets coming up on our right are the aviary at London Zoo for birds, and you can also see at various points into the back gardens of the fancy villas that line the edge of Regent's Park. Now, regular viewers may have noticed that this week's video has dropped a day early. I usually publish on Sundays. The Saturday video has to do with our destination today, Marylebone. Two regular viewers, Claudie and James, are getting married in Marylebone today, and their friend Ben thought it might be nice for them to get a shout out on their wedding day and a video to Marylebone to celebrate. So massive congratulations to you both, and I wish you a very happy lifetime together riding London's streets. I'm recording this a few days in advance, so keeping my fingers crossed that the weather is as beautiful on Saturday as when I recorded this. Just a reminder to everyone watching that if you need more help remembering this route, there is a map linked in the description below the video, and you should be able to download the GPX file and use it on whatever app or device you like. There's also a map of all the different London cycle routes videos on a single Google map, which is great for browsing the different routes in your area and beyond. Now, I did promise that you'd get to see into the back gardens of all the fancy villas on Regent's Park, and they pretty much start now. You can see them on your left here. But I guarantee you can't guess when these villas were built, because all 6 of them were actually constructed from the late 1980s until 2004 by architect Quinlan Terry. You see, this land used to be occupied by Bedford College, which moved out of London in 1985, and the Crown Estate commissioned Terry to build the villas in the style of John Nash, who laid out Regent's Park back in the 19th century. I think he did a pretty good job, although I've never actually seen anyone use the back gardens in all the times that I've ridden down here. All in all, I think this section of the towpath is pretty reasonable, and I hope you do too. Camden Council does have an ambition to build a cycleway on Prince Albert Road, which runs parallel to it, and it might become possible when that's done to do all or some of this route using that, especially if Westminster Council builds connecting infrastructure at the borough boundary. Until then though, I think that the canal is probably the way to go. We're leaving it now though for the final part of our route, which runs through an estate near Marylebone. This whole estate is one big cul-de-sac, so there isn't any through traffic in it, though there is a huge amount of surface car storage everywhere you look. A lot of people do live around here and it's very dense, as you can see, so you'll probably run into 1 or 2 vehicles, but hopefully nothing you can't manage. Of course, do watch out for people doing stuff like that, which can happen anywhere. Westminster Council actually has some plans to improve this last section of the route. They're going to put a protected cycle lane on Harewood Avenue just coming up as part of Cycleway 51. I hope that they start construction of that this year, but they've been quite slow at delivering projects, so it's quite hard to say when that will happen. I would say that Harewood Avenue isn't exactly busy most of the time, but that new cycle lane would definitely be welcome. I think it's the right approach for improving cycling conditions on here, as the street is really wide and will always be used by taxis and such for accessing the station, which means filtering will be less effective. But here we are, we've made it. I always enjoy arriving at Marylebone this way, as you get to enjoy the fancy roof over Melcombe Place. And a reminder that if you enjoyed this video, do hit the like button on YouTube so that other people can find it. And if you want to see more videos like it, then hit subscribe as well so that my channel's videos appear on your YouTube homepage. Thank you again to all the channel's supporters on Patreon, and if you're feeling generous and want to throw money at me, then please do find the link to the channel's Patreon page in the description below the video. Do let me know in the comments what you think of the route and whether you'd improve it. I think the towpath is pretty good, but I would love to see other options. And once again, congratulations to Claudie and James on their special day. Thanks for watching and see you all again next time. Goodbye.